Hi everyone, welcome to Junkbox Studio. My name is Cindy and I don't normally do speaking in my videos, but I've had some requests, and I do find that when I'm working on certain techniques or using materials that I find it would be helpful if I was able to explain what I'm doing. And so I hope you guys enjoy my new style of video, and let's get crafting. Thank you. So here you'll see me using coffee stain. I use quite a bit actually, and it is on a canvas fabric, and you can work the coffee into layers. It does dry lighter, so often I'll add different layers. And here I'm going to use the Mod Podge. I do this because I want to stiffen this fabric for how I'm going to be using it today. And don't worry about how you apply it. Just throw it on there. When it dries, it'll dry clear, and it really gives a nice workable texture. Now what I want to do is try to color match this board that I'm using. It's a burlap panel board, and that's the folk art paint. It's in the color coffee bean, and coffee bean, it really matches the coffee staining. And so if you don't want to use coffee because of the smell of coffee in the end product, you can use this folk art paint, and it'll give you pretty much the same color as coffee stain. And because I want to accelerate the darkening of this fabric, I went ahead and decided to use the coffee bean acrylic paint by Folk Art. Okay, so once we are done with that, go ahead and take that canvas and crumple it up. It gives it a really neat wrinkled texture after it's dried, and it's a lot of fun to use. So set that aside, let it dry, and let's go ahead and take a look at this greeting card. I got it at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut out that image and use it. I don't like to spend a lot of money on extra graphics, so I thought, why not use a greeting card? And here are some heart doilies I also got at Dollar Tree. Super cute. I'll be using those a lot in the next couple of weeks. And here again is that burlap panel board. I've had these for a long time. I got them at Goodwill, probably half price, so I wouldn't have bought them. I've had them for a long time, so I finally get to use them today, and I'm very excited about that. So let's take a look at those doilies. They look pretty good for Dollar Tree. There's a little notch up at the top, but I guess you can trim that off if you need to. And the design's really cute. I'll be using these quite a bit, and I'll just be using one today though, and I will be staining that a little bit later, and you'll see how I'll do that. So let's get this image cut out. And I do want to mention here that the font inside the card, those can be used for a later project. So hang on to those, don't throw them away. Now let's take a look at that panel here, and I have some stripe material. It's a deep red that I don't generally like red, but I like the darker like jewel tones. And you see that torn edge right there. You know, I used to always cut my fabric for projects until I realized, I learned that you can actually just snip a little tiny piece at the end and tear it. Most good quality fabrics tear really clean and really nice. This I believe I got from Hobby Lobby, and it is probably a part of their homespun line, and it's just a really nice fabric. It tears just like really smooth and easy to work with. And so often I'll keep those strips and use them later for like ribbon or other projects. But yeah, so you get a nice torn edge on there, and just kind of, just eyeball the size. You can measure if you want. See how it's kind of crooked there? And I'll just take another little piece of it off. And the I don't know what you call like the stitching. It'll even itself out. It'll square itself off because of how the fabric's made. But just eyeball it. There's really no rules. There was some extra threads coming off the end here, so I just kind of cleaned that up a little bit. And so we are going to take that and lay it over the top and see how much of a like a framing or like a margin you want around the edges, and it could be as big or little as you want. I chose to go about, looks about a ½ inch to a ¼ inch all the way around. And so here we're just kind of placing everything and seeing how I want it. And so we'll take that doily, and we are now going to stain it. I did definitely use just the coffee stain on this because I want to try like a lighter application first. I don't want to go in heavy with the acrylic paint. It's not as forgiving once you lay it down, especially on a thinner paper like this. So one light coat of the coffee, and then if you want to add layers onto it after that, you can. But I wanted to keep this a little bit light. Okay, now I'm just taking my hair dryer to get this dry, and I'm kind of fighting with it there. I think I changed it to a lower setting, and that way I was able to control the paper a little bit. But this really dries a lot faster. Sometimes I'll just throw it outside in the sun while I'm working on something else, but for the sake of the video, I wanted to get this done quickly. Now let's get these all placed. And here is that canvas fabric all dry, and it's got a little stiffness to it, some texture, and I darkened that top edge there just to kind of frame it out. And so I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want the feet to lie, and I can make it look like they're sitting on a shelf there, or on an edge or a bench, which I didn't really like. And 1 foot hanging over, that kind of looks cute. So I'm creating a pocket, and I'll be filling that with Excelsior and all kinds of stuff. But for now, I'm just figuring out exactly how I want these guys to go. And you definitely want to take into consideration where it falls on that panel. Do you want it to be center or off center? Halfway down, or 3/4 up. And so I'll figure it out as I go. I kind of don't give myself a lot of rules. I just when I'm stuck, I just go in and I just wing it, and it ends up working out in the end. It's kind of a little bit of a challenge for me, so I like that. But here we go, just standard gluing these down. I like to tack down a lot of my stuff first. I might tack down the corners just to kind of get it from shifting on me. Okay, so now that we have the material glued down, I'm taking Mod Podge and just gluing the back, middle part, and edges where it's solid paper, because I don't want that glue to come through those little cutouts. And it should stick to the fabric pretty well. And so I definitely don't want to use hot glue, because it'll cause it could either come through the paper or cause some bubbling underneath the paper and look kind of weird. So I'm placing it just, looks like above halfway. That way I'll have space for the pocket that I'm creating and the images to be centered. So now I'm just taking a towel and pushing that the glue down and making sure that the edges are sealed, and also kind of taking up any extra glue around the edges that can happen. I don't really want it to show, and doing a little extra tacking there. So here's the canvas, and I am just hot gluing around the edges and leaving the top portion open so I can stuff that with the Excelsior. In order to get this to fold around the back, I got to snip these corners, and that's going to give me a little bit of a cleaner fold. And I will be covering this back with, I was going to use fabric, some more of that striped fabric, but I decided against it. Instead, I went ahead and used a cardstock, a heavy cardstock. Okay, now it is time to make a bow. I like using bows in my projects, but they are a pain to make. The end result is rewarding, but I'm trying to come up with an easier process. I do use this sort quick, and I think it's normally used for like counting money or like turning pages, and it really, like a tacky finger, it really helps kind of grab onto the fabric when I'm making bows. And so there I am, kind of trying to get it evened out. And I don't really measure strips of fabric for bows. I like them kind of random lengths. And I am now using a piece of thin wire to assemble the bow. I like using wire the best, and just makes it, I can handle it a lot easier. And here I am kind of scrunching up the material. You can also dip it in water and scrunch it and kind of air dry it if you really want a rustic look. I think just crumpling it up here is enough to get that effect, and I'm showing off some of the extra little threads there. But see how the random lengths at the bottom, I like it. And so here we go. This is the fun part. This is where we get to assemble everything, and I'm just getting some of that Excelsior. You know, I could use moss, but often moss is either a green or a gray green, and that's just going to take this project in a different direction. So I like to use the off-white Excelsior. It really kind of looks nice with these more vintage projects. And I'm just randomly throwing that in there, stuffing it a little bit, not all the way to the bottom, but enough to give it like a fullness. And I'm just kind of playing around with where to put that Excelsior. I ended up sitting these two with her legs sitting over the edge and his one leg sitting over the edge, because on the one side there, one of the little hearts from the card was on his pant leg and I couldn't cut it out. So I figured I would just tuck it in there and hide that. And it kind of works. I have it slightly angled over instead of directly centered up and down. It just gives it a little bit of character. And so I'm placing the Excelsior behind there, using it as kind of like like a buffer to for stability, first of all, but also to add some depth behind there. I went ahead and drilled holes in the corners so I can hang wire, and I'm using that, I don't know what gauge wire that is, but it's not a real thick, like rigid wire, but it's also not thin. And I do recommend wiping the wire before you use it. There's some kind of a finish that they use on those, and it's like a soot, and so I wipe mine off and to make sure that it doesn't rub off onto the project at all. And I do want to apologize. It looks like I lost some footage. I just put the wire through the corner and twisted the end of the wire a few times around and closed it up, cinched it really close, so none of that sharp wire edge was hanging out. And so here I am taking the bow and trying to figure out where to put it. If I put it there, it's going to cover the feet, and that kind of takes some of the character away. And at the bottom, it doesn't quite look right, and I do have plans for a font that I want to put there. I do like it there, but I have other plans. So I end up putting that bow in the top corner. I'm taking a wooden button and attaching it to the bow. I love using wooden buttons. They're my favorite. You can paint them any color. And so I'm going to paint this one in the folk art coffee bean. And I used to paint all my buttons and items separately and then attach them, wait for them to dry and then attach them, until I learned that you can assemble everything at once and paint while it's on there. It's just easier to handle the items, and doesn't matter if you get paint on the fabric around there. It just adds to the charm of everything. And so I take a little bit of a paper towel and dab off that paint. Then I take I believe it's a 220 grit sandpaper. It's a really fine grit sandpaper, and just sand some of that paint down. And there's some thread already through that button, and so it kind of shredded that thread a little bit. That it looks really neat. I love that. And so here I am taking a little bit of Mod Podge just to seal that. It's a matte Mod Podge. It's not shiny. It's just to kind of give it a finished look. This is a font that I took from the computer and just put it on my Google Docs. It's easier for me. You know, I do have stamps. I'm not crazy about using stamps, and this is just a better way for me to do any kind of lettering that I need, and I can you know, design it any way that I want to. And this one is special delivery, so I'm trying to get this sized correctly. I should use a paper cutter, but I often just use scissors. So I'm just going to take this and kind of give it like a little bit of a I don't know how you say, just make it look like it's a banner. Instead of gluing it flat down to the fabric, I want to lift the center of that just a little bit. I'm going to age the edge of this banner, and you know, normally I would use ink, but I know that the ink is going to be a different color of brown or aging, and so I want to keep with that same tone and use the again, the coffee bean for that. Just being cautious with going around the edge of the paper when using paint. Again, it's not very forgiving, and so I start with a thin light coat around the edge and kind of blend it where I can without overdoing it. And also I want to just add the finishing touches around the edge and kind of make it look like that wire has been there for a while, and take it along the edge. Sometimes I can overdo it with some of the other pieces I've done, and I'm trying to get myself to back off of the aging a bit. You know, I don't need to kind of overdo it. Just a subtle is enough, but you know, in the right places it looks good. Overdone, it can kind of ruin the piece. But yeah, you know, the corners you can go heavy. Anywhere where there's any metal that like where the wire's at, it just looks like the wire maybe rusted and kind of stained or dripped down the material. And I do go around that button a little bit and even onto the fabric. So just all these little finishing touches. This is my absolute favorite part. I do all this work just so I can go in and paint on the fabric. And this is why I love the canvas so much, because it's so rugged and durable. You can really do anything with it. And so it looks like I abandoned the brush there and ended up using my fingers, and that's sometimes the best tool. And so that's a lot of fun. I really love doing that. I'm going over the banner because it's paper. I want to protect it a little bit from handling, and I just take the Mod Podge and go over that just a little bit. Okay guys, it looks like that's it for this project. I really want to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos, and to the new viewers, welcome. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and share. I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.